right? So this is the depth of the thought. So I mean, if you see my blog, I think I would have sort of written it more clearly over there, but um, so before you didn't associate point thought point D with thought point E, but now you have somehow evaluated all the factors, and then these factors might have, brought other thoughts to you, but you focus, you stay on your goal, and you reach the point D. I mean, it's like this, right? So you think uh, it's not always dependent on point the starting point alone. See, for example, let's say someone who's patriotic, right? You do any action, you say, um, I don't know, you just say there is more income tax that is being allocated to states from the center's share or whatever, right? Or I mean, not that's directly associated with the economy, but you say, okay, you think about an article in the newspaper that says, oh, a lot of people in Delhi are importing foreign genes to be uh, to have foreign egg and sperm donors, right? A lot of people in Delhi are doing that because they want their kid to be like a European, like a fair child and all that, right? Some people will just ignore it, and some people will just take this to think about wiki donor program, and then they feel happy about it. But people who are prone to thinking about national pride and ethnic pride and Indian pride, they would evaluate any starting point, D. They would try to link it to how it is going to benefit the national interest E. So they would somehow look for it. I mean, maybe okay, you have this event, this news article that you read about, that's D, and then there are associated things that bring in, like point A, point C, point B, right? So point A may be the wiki donor movie that is coming into this guy's mind, but this guy rejects the wiki donor thought because if you think about wiki donor, he'll go thinking about that heroine and the hero, and then that idiot John Avram, his topic would divert. But this guy, if he's prone to thinking about national interest always, he would always also think about the end point, the national interest in the end, the point E. And the activation sort of happens between both sides, like from O he gets to C and he gets to D, and then he's thinking about these three things the 1 second, and then there is a pause. He thinks about how this could be related to point E, sorry, and then point E, there's some intermediate point, F or something, point E to point F, and then F connects to B or something, and then he makes the connection, right? So so in the end, what happens is there is a deeper thought he has constructed, whatever a deeper logic or a deeper process that he has comprehended in his mind and made the association between the initial point, the event, and the final point, the national interest, right? So the next time someone brings talks about the news D, he will automatically bring in E, right? Now E becomes factor one the next time. So this time it's a new thing. This time he is able to go think about new things. He is able to achieve a depth, right? He is able to achieve a long chain of thought, and so this thing he'll probably bring it, and the next time someone talks about D, and then he would go and explore a different. He will go to a different depth, right? So this is these are the three things, right? The first one is the the breadth of all the aspects that the person is able to bring in. So let's make a comparison, right? The guy, this someone like Guru Murthy or someone, right? He is good in this. He brings in all the aspects associated with it. So generally, South Indians are generally good at this. They are quite mature. They are able to put themselves into everyone's shoes. Like, they don't just say out things. They will consider how they sound to the others, if they're sounding cocky or if they're sounding aggressive, or if he will be able to put them they will be able to put themselves in other shoes, and they are more considerate is the word. They consider all aspects of it, whereas North Indians, they are just very aggressive. They're kind of childlike. They just keep on talking, and whatever excites them, they are really just focused on that, right? So that is the difference. um, and like correctness of logic, I said that person who's able to process in a lot of the factors will also be able to come to the right conclusion. It's the people who won't process all of those things. They are the ones who probably won't reach the wrong, who don't have the neurons to process all the information. They are the ones who would probably not reach the right, uh, not get the correct logic. Okay, so two is again dependent on the same as number ones. And so let me just at this point give you the scores of what I have for the various groups for factors on a scale of, it's not on a scale of 20. There could be always room for more, but okay, let me just read out the orders for you guys, right? Okay, so Africans score 9 in this maturity, Chinese 12, white Europeans 11, Jewish people 13, Arabs 13 and a half, um, North Indians 15, 16, Bengalis 17, Tamil 20, Malayalam 18, Telugu 18, Kannada 18. Okay, so that's the score I've given to different groups for 1 and 2. Okay, and for 3, which is getting to point E, constructing a deeper thought, right? Okay, this I'm telling you, it's a nature aspect of it. There's also nurture aspects for all these things. For the third component, I'm giving Africans 13, Chinese 12, white Europeans 16, Jewish 17, Arab 15, North Indians 17, 18, Bengalis 19, Tamil 20, Malayalam 20, Telugu and Kannada 18. Right? You can see that a lot of Bengalis are they're also very interested in news, and they also like to talk a lot. They keep yapping, and generally they do think a lot as well. Um they eat a lot of fish. And okay, before that, okay, now let me just come to the things, the brain things that I think are helping generate this thought. Okay, there are four things, right? First is a lot of activation potential in the electrolytic fluid, right? People say when you eat a lot of salt, you get more sensitive, like you have more shame and humility in you and all that, right? So it's like this, right? There's something called the activation. I mean, there is an electrolytic solution in the brain. I've kind of forgot what it's a neuronal fluid, right? And it has got a lot of ions, and these ions give you the activation potential. So if you eat a lot of salt, your neuronal solution will be highly electrolytic, and it will have a lot of ions. So if you eat a lot of salt and spicy things, you will have a lot of activation potential in your brain. Okay, so a lot of battery charge in your brain if you eat a lot of spicy food. And okay, the next one is the activation threshold of neurons. So you guys know that there's a threshold. Each and every neuron fires only if the activation passing through it exceeds a threshold. Okay, so if the threshold is lower in a healthy neuron, the threshold is obviously lower. Okay, so if the neurons are healthy, there'll be a lot more firing than if the neurons are not so healthy and then the threshold is high. Okay, and the third one is the association between neurons. Actually, third one is the number of neurons. Obviously, if you have more neurons, the neocortex of the brain, which corresponds to the musical thinking aspect or the mathematical thinking aspect, you are good in maths or music or whatever, right? Stuff like that. So number of neurons associated in that respective region, right? And then the fourth one is the association between the neuronal connections. So, I mean, it's not just enough if you have a lot of neurons, there should be more connections between the neurons, right? So, so that's the thing. So that's what you have it. And I mean, more connection. And okay, there's actually number 5 as well. Okay, I'm sorry. Number 5 is, I mean, this, it is the connection weightage between different neurons. You might have a lot of neurons, you might have a lot of connections, okay, but there should be a weightage of connection as well. See, neurons, it's like when one particular neuron excites, it doesn't mean the full activation goes and reaches the other neuron. The connection between the neurons, the synapses and all, some of the activation is lost there. So the weightage of connection should also be high. Only then it will go, the activation will travel long distance. I mean, you will get newer thoughts. So here's what I'm thinking at, right? So if we have a lot of neurons, right, which are connected to each other, you will be able to bring in a lot of thought, because one neuron excites, and if it is surrounded by a lot of other neurons, they will also excite pretty easily. Okay, so that is what is the driving force behind ability 1 and 2. For going deep, for being creative and all, the activation has to pass through a lot of things, right? So for that, it has to, the connections has to be healthy. So the threshold, the neuronal threshold, as well as the connections has to be healthy for you to be able to have the deep thinking ability, you know. So connections means, okay, it's not just healthiness. Okay, so healthy neurons means, healthy brain cells means, okay, obviously the threshold is high, you will get a lot of electrolytic excitation. If you eat spicy food, you will have more electro activation potential. So you're ready to fire. But if the connection is not proper, if the neuronal connections are not good enough, you won't get deep thoughts. Your thoughts will sort of stagnate in one area alone. you know so that's why young people, they have healthy brain cells, the threshold is less, so they keep thinking about different things again and again. Whereas old people, you know it is like they keep thinking about politics again and again and again, and then they only have a higher concentration of neurons in the area that thinks about politics. They don't think about anything else, right? So in that area they have a lot of potential, but they don't really, the connection between the neurons are not that strong, so they don't really construct newer things when they are really old. Okay. um Wait, I was gonna say something, I kind of missed. um so I mean, I guess, you kind of get the gist of, what could make the, it's all bullshit. People say, oh, everything is subjective, and everyone can become but that's the nurture aspect of it. From the nature aspect of it, there is this thing, there is this physical, see, all these things play a role. People eat omega 3. It depends on the diet of a group. Bengalis eat a lot of fish, so they obviously have healthy neuronal connections and lower thresholds. And Indians eat a lot of spice, and that's why Indians are very, they, a lot of activation potential there. And and if you come from a lineage of thinkers who think a lot, so even your neural connections would have shaped like that. Even your neural connections would be having higher, I mean, good connectivity and higher connectivity in the mathematical region or in the science region or musical region or something like that. So genetics also shape all these things, and becomes a factor for your success. Okay. So the depth, I think I already given this course for the depth, right? Yeah. So yeah, all these things, I mean, in my blog I go on to give a lot of examples about what it is to be a deeper thought. I mean, probably typically people with, higher component of one, who's able to evaluate all aspects, they make good engineers. They don't miss out anything, they bring everything into the thing, they follow the rules, and they make it happen. But they're not really that creative or artistic. For that you need the third component. you know Third component, I mean, artistic is 3B. That is, so if you go back to the diagram, it's like C goes to CB goes to some other point XYZ something, which is not related to E, but it is some other sidewards creativity, right? So that's what artists are. They think some sideward bullshit. Mm. So even that is three. Uh, but the most important thing is the logical depth. Getting to the E, um, and yeah. So those are the three different things. And I've given you what could be the brain features that would help achieve a group, this or that. Okay, now let's go on to force. Now it's, all these things like number of things they know. So people who have good education inputs by being part of a knowledgeable circle or in a city where everything is happening, um, they kind of, um, yeah, they obviously, new things are put into their minds, so they will be able to construct thoughts based on new things that they learn, right? I mean, I think this is why, Europeans and Jewish people have been kicked around for, almost their entire existence. They were kicked out of Egypt, they were kicked out of Israel, they have been living as minorities, and they've been demonized. Like, if you read the Portia Shylock thing, they show the Jewish people as bad people, Europeans hate them. So they've been thinking, so, and that's probably why they think a lot these days, and that's why they are intelligent. That's why they dominate um, Hollywood. They make movies, they think about scenarios and all those shit, right? um, and even whites have actually, like I said, they've been constantly war prone. They've been thinking a lot. They have had to think a lot because of war, because of confrontation, because of this and that, so many things. So that's why they kind of got high scores in 13, but sorry, in factor 3. uh, but Jewish people got 17 and the whites got 16. But I think Indians would still beat them, it's just that a lot of us are acting like idiots, but I think Indians would still beat them if we are given the right education and all that. It's just that we're not thinking about it, but our ability is there to think deep for Indians as well. Okay, so that is number 4. Number 5 is, it's like people consciously making an effort to it's like thinking about different things. Like, for example, a guy who works in IT, he always just thinks about this IT and what's going on in office, and that he doesn't just take time off and let's say, hey, let's go explore some um, I don't know, some African dance, or some, let's go learn a new language. No one, these guys don't think like that. um, they just think about IT and computer, and the things that they are good at. They only keep thinking about that. They don't think about different things. They don't think about traveling and meeting an aboriginal tribe and learning their history, or they don't think about those things. So people who kind of do that, um, I don't know, those thoughts I guess just has to occur out of somewhere. And okay, I've also actually given scores for the nurture thing. Okay, so schooling, nurturing, being in a good circle. Who gets what? Africans 11, Chinese 14, white Europeans 20, right? They're living in developed countries, right? Jewish people 21, because they run everything in those developed countries. Arabs 13, they're fucking backwards still. North Indians 18, Bengalis 19, Tamilians 20, Malus 19, Telugus and Kannadikas 17. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm a Tamil, I give high score to Tamils. But I know that Bengalis are there a lot in news and stuff. But that's because they just love talking and people let them talk. But they don't. That's not the same case with Tamils. Tamils also think a lot. I mean, even in Chennai, there's a lot of schooling and there's a lot of interesting thoughts and interesting schools and interesting thinkers. But yeah, so those are the scores for that. And then for the creative thinking, I'm giving Africans 11, Chinese 12, white Europeans 19, Jewish 20, Arab 13, North Indians 17, Bengalis 19, Tamils 17. Actually, North Indians 17 to 18, Tamil 17, Malus 18, Telugus and Kannadikas 16 to 17. Okay, and then now we have the prior conditioning thing. See, it's like South Indians, Tamil, we have all those things like Tirukural, Aganarnur, Punaranur, and then Adichudi or whatever. A lot of philosophical stuff that says you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to be humble, you have to be conservative, you have to be non-aggressive. So all these conditioning, it's there in societies as well, and then that's why you find that South Indians are very passive and not very aggressive and very down to earth or conservative or very simple, whatever you want to say. So this sort of conditioning also happens. Yeah. So the scores for that are Africans 10, Chinese 18. Chinese come under a lot of Indian influence. There are Buddhism and also South Indian guys like Bogar and all those guys, right? And Bodhidharma and all that. Okay. And white Europeans 11, arrogant pricks. They don't have any conditioning. No. They don't, now only now they are getting civilized, right? So Jewish 15, Arab 16, North Indian 16, Bengali 17, Tamil 20, Malayalam 19, Telugu 19, Kannada 19. Okay. Alright, so this is it. You know, so this is why I think South Indians are more intelligent. I think you should probably, I don't know, read my blog, and you might find that I would have explained it a little bit more in detail there. I'll probably put a link for the blog as well. But yeah, this is how I mean, this is my attempt to say how exactly South Indians are smarter than North Indians, and how much so, like with my ratings and stuff. That's what I've done. So now, see, the reasons I've given are, so we've lived well so far, and as of now, we are a better specimen. So we should be happy about ourselves. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, go walk around with pride. That's all I can say for now. I'm gonna be making some other videos as well about some other stuff. I've actually already made some videos regarding the looks aspect of it. Like, see, there is an issue, right? Especially if you go to Chennai and all. Like, Tamils, they don't really look that good. I've actually given the reasons why. All those things like fair skin, a good complexion, flatter face. Um, you know, that's all sign of neoteny. And because of the heat, we lost our collagen, and we don't have any cold climate at all. Cold climate burns up the fat, so your muscles and skin won't become saggy, and it actually makes your muscles and skin stronger, and becomes it may generates more estrogen, testosterone, and all that. So we don't have that cold climate. We've been really unfortunate. um, and then there's a host of other things like physical neoteny giving rise to intellectual neoteny, and all these things those things I've explained in some of my other blogs. um, yeah, that's just explaining how why the South Indians are not so good looking, right? But here I've said, see, South Indians are very important, I mean intelligent. So by the end of this, you should, whenever you walk out on the streets, you should feel happy. You should feel happy that you're a superior specimen who has lived well all these years. And if you just think of that, that's it. There's no burden of having to live, having to. There's no. I mean, yeah. If you've already, see, if life is like a game of poker, right? It's an ongoing process, right? So whoever has had the most chips for a longer period of time, he wins the game, right? So we've already lived well for like tens of thousands of years since we separated from Europeans. Um, so we should not at all be, conscious of anything at all. Whether comparing to Europeans or compared to Arabs or Iranians or North Indians, we've actually had the best lives. So we should just walk around. Plus, I also explain why we are um, more intelligent and more superior. So I genuinely believe in all these things that I'm saying, right? Um, I also genuinely believe that we are not really that good looking. Um, so we can just be more happy, more confident, more outgoing. We don't have to be conservative. See, being conservative is nice, okay, but it works only in closed societies. See, that's the best system. Our culture and all, it's a very good thing. But it works only in closed societies. Now, it's like if the whole world is very conservative, and someone in some corner, those guys are having an orgy, and they just freak out. Everyone watching that, we're gonna think, oh, why not we can have that fun, so we're gonna try to emulate. So in a globalized world, we have to be more aggressive. We should not be settling for dumb shit like open the task mark and the partla. What the fuck? People are pretending to have fun here. That's why it's so annoying being in Chennai. Chennai is like zero boring. I mean zero fun. It's like it's not even fit for old people. It's that bad. Okay, we should have casinos. We should have, I don't know, good bars. We should people should be allowed to play poker and all that, and none of those moral policing bullshit. And if we do that, we can just also have the pleasure that we lack. We can have a pleasurable life as well. But don't settle for bullshit like that. All those Tamil movies influenced by that idiotic Dravidian movements and those people owning it, like the DMK guys. They are the ones who are story writers, and they include their dose of morality in all those movies that they make. Those assholes. Um, anyway, things gonna change, but first we have to be happy with ourselves and just take it from there.